It all started with something small, an invitation that said, "Adults only." My 17-year-old daughter, Maya, wasn't allowed to attend my sister's wedding because she was too young. I didn't argue. I didn't beg. I simply said, "Then we won't be attending." And months later, at Christmas, I made one quiet decision that would make my entire family lose their minds. My name is Claire. I'm the oldest of three sisters, which in our house meant I was the responsible one, the helper, the babysitter, the one who cleaned up everyone's mess while mom and dad were too tired or too distracted. At first, I didn't mind. That was just my role. Tessa, the middle child, was the performer, always loud, always adored. Rachel, the youngest, was the baby, spoiled, excused, forgiven for everything. And me? I was the one who kept things running. When I became a mom, I thought things might finally change, but in some ways, they never did. I adopted my daughter Maya when she was 3. She had these deep, thoughtful brown eyes, the kind that looked at the world with suspicion, as if she'd already seen too much of it. The first time she called me mom, I cried in the car after dropping her off at preschool. That was the moment I made a promise. She would never feel unwanted in this family, not ever again. But no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't keep that promise. Tessa got engaged last spring. Big ring, big announcement. She posted pictures online with captions full of hearts and hashtags about forever. I congratulated her, of course. Maya even made her a handmade card. She cut out little wedding bells, glued them down with too much glitter, and wrote, "Congratulations, Aunt Tessa." Tessa smiled politely, said it was sweet, then left the card in her car. 2 weeks later, I found it crumpled under an empty Starbucks cup. Still, Maya stayed excited. She started browsing dresses online, asking if she should wear her hair up or down. She wanted to belong, to be part of something that had always made her feel like an outsider. Then the invitation arrived. Thick ivory paper, gold lettering, the kind of thing that screams, expensive. I opened it while Maya sat at the table doing homework. The usual details: date, location, dress code, until my eyes landed on the words that made my stomach drop. Adults only, 18 plus strictly enforced. I read it twice, hoping I was mistaken. I wasn't. Maya looked up, noticed my face, and asked, "Does she not want me there?" I swallowed hard. "It's an 18-plus wedding, sweetheart." She nodded quietly, then whispered, "Is it because I'm adopted?" Those 6 words broke something inside me. She said them like it was a truth she'd already accepted. I told her no, of course not. But deep down, I knew what she meant. This wasn't the first time she'd been excluded. Not exactly. There had been smaller moments, little comments. My mom introducing her as Claire's girl, Nia Mansever, our granddaughter. Tessa referring to her as your daughter, like she was talking about someone else's child. The way family holidays would pass with Maya offering to help in the kitchen and everyone pretending they hadn't heard. For years, I told myself they didn't mean it, that they were awkward, unsure, still adjusting. But this time was clear. I didn't fight, I didn't yell, I just clicked not attending. No explanation, no drama, just no. The next day, Tessa texted me, "Hey, just saw your RSVP. Everything okay?" Then another message, "If this is about the age thing, I hope you understand. We're being super consistent with everyone. Nothing personal, right?" Not personal. Except it was. Maya wasn't just anyone. She was her niece. 17, not 7. Old enough to understand exactly what being left out meant. I didn't reply. Then Rachel messaged me. "Tessa said you're not Ken. What's going on?" And finally, Mom called. She never calls just to talk, so I already knew. "Claire," she said, "I heard you're not going to the wedding. Is this really about the age limit?" "Maya's not invited," I said. "I'm not going without her." "She's almost 18, my mom said. "It's not like she's a little kid. Don't punish your sister over this." It's one night I didn't argue. I just said, "We're not going," and hung up. I thought that would be the end of it. It wasn't. The group chat lit up. Rachel. Can't believe you're making this a big deal over one rule. Mom. Family is about forgiveness. Tessa. It's not about Maya. You're the one making it about her. I ignored every message, but Maya saw the silence. She stopped talking about the wedding. She deleted the dress photos from her phone. And she didn't cry, which somehow hurt the most. She was used to it, used to being left out, used to being almost family. So when Christmas came and no one had apologized, I made a decision. I didn't invite them. No announcement, no confrontation, just quiet. And that, somehow, was what finally made them furious. If you'd asked me 10 years ago what motherhood looked like, I would have said birthday parties, messy hugs, glitter everywhere. I wouldn't have said protecting your child from the people who claim to love you both. When Maya entered my life, she was heartbreakingly serious. Those big brown eyes, those cautious movements, everything about her said she didn't quite believe in safety yet. She didn't laugh easily. She didn't run into my arms like in movies. The first time she reached for my hand in a grocery store, without me asking, I cried in the parking lot. Ethan, my husband, said quietly, "That's the moment she chose you." And since that day, I've been choosing her right back, but my family never really did. At first, I excused it. She didn't have my eyes, didn't share my last name yet, didn't jump into conversations the way the other kids did. But then came the little things. Mom calling her the little one instead of Maya. Tessa asking if I planned to tell her she was adopted, while Maya was standing right there. Easter baskets for Rachel's kids with their names written in glitter, while Maya got one with a generic Happy Spring tag. It wasn't loud cruelty, it was quiet, soft enough to deny, sharp enough to wound. And Maya noticed, always. When she was 6, she told my dad she wanted to be an artist. He smiled and said, "You'll need something more practical." When she was 8, she drew a picture of our family, me, Ethan, and her, and gave it to my mom. Mom smiled, said thank you, and set it down. It never made it onto the fridge with the other grandkids' drawings. Later, Maya asked, "Why isn't mine up there?" And I had no answer that didn't sound like a lie. The first time I truly snapped was at Rachel's engagement party. Maya was 12, dressed in pale blue, silver flats, and nervous smiles. Rachel greeted us with a quick hi before turning away to hug the next guest. Not a word to Maya. No compliment. No warmth. We left after 20 minutes. On the drive home, Maya said, "I don't think she likes me." "She just doesn't know you yet," I said. "She's had 10 years," Maya replied, and I had no words. I think, deep down, my family never believed she was permanent. That maybe, someday, I'd have real children, and Maya would become a fond story. The time Claire fostered that little girl. They never said it out loud. They didn't have to. When Maya turned 16, she wanted to celebrate differently. No loud music, no big crowd, just her art. So we rented a small community hall and filled it with her paintings. Her idea. Her heart. She invited everyone, family, friends, even a few teachers. Rachel didn't come. Neither did Tessa. My parents showed up half an hour late with a generic card that said, "To a sweet girl," and a $20 bill tucked inside. Maya thanked them, smiling politely. She's always polite. But that night, I found one of her sketches. The 3 of us at the party, but with blank faces. No eyes, no smiles. That was the moment I stopped hoping they'd ever change. Because Maya wasn't even hurt anymore. She'd stopped expecting kindness, and that terrified me. So when Tessa's wedding invitation said, "Adults only," and no one mentioned Maya again, I didn't fight it. I didn't beg. I didn't even explain. I just said, "We're not going." That weekend, we stayed home. Ethan made French toast, Maya painted by the window, and I read an entire book. No guilt, no drama, just peace. And I realized something I should have known long ago. Silence can be louder than any argument. The quiet after that decision felt strange, like standing in a house where the noise has finally stopped, and you realize how loud it used to be. For the first time, our home didn't feel like a battlefield of politeness. It felt calm. I didn't miss the wedding. I didn't wonder what the flowers looked like or if the cake was any good. I just thought about Maya, how she used to search for their approval, one small nod at a time, and how slowly they taught her not to expect it. When Christmas came, I decided to stop pretending. For years, I'd hosted the big family dinner. I'd set the table, cooked the food, and smiled through every uncomfortable silence. This time, I wouldn't. So when Ethan asked, "Should I rent the extra chairs?" I said, "No. No extra seats this year." He didn't argue. Maya didn't ask. And when the group chat started buzzing with the usual, "Who's bringing dessert? Should we come early this year?" I said nothing. I just let the silence sit. That silence did more damage than any argument ever had. On December 15th, Rachel texted, "Claire, are we still doing Christmas Eve at your place?" Tessa followed with, "Of course we'll be 5 again. Let me know if Maya wants anything this year. If she's even coming this time." That line almost made me drop my phone. If she's even coming this time. As if Maya's absence from the wedding had been her own fault. I didn't reply. I didn't clean the house. I didn't order a roast. I didn't set up the big table or polish the good plates. When no one got an answer, they started calling. First Mom, then Rachel, then Tessa. Finally, my dad left a voicemail. "Your mother's upset. It's not too late to do the right thing." The right thing, as if feeding people who rejected my child counted as morality. That Christmas Eve, Ethan made lasagna in his pajamas, while Maya baked sugar cookies shaped like stars that fell apart in the oven. We watched movies, opened our gifts early, and laughed until midnight. It was the most peaceful Christmas we'd ever had. But peace has a way of making guilty people furious. On December 26th, the group chat lit up again. Tessa. "It's just sad. We've all tried to include Maya, but Claire makes it impossible." Rachel. "If you cut off family every time there's a disagreement, you'll end up with no one." Dad. "The way you're handling this is cruel." Then Mom sent a photo of her Christmas tree with the caption, "It wasn't the same without you. Maya would have loved her gifts. But those weren't gifts. They were bait. Guilt wrapped in ribbons." A few days later, I got a letter. No return address, but I knew the handwriting. It was from Mom. Inside, she'd written, "I wish you'd think about the example you're setting. Maya will see how easily you shut people out." That line stuck with me, because that's exactly what I wanted Maya to see. That love doesn't mean surrender. That real love doesn't ask you to make yourself small so others can stay comfortable. Maya never asked about the messages, but I knew she sensed the tension. She always did. One night, she sat on the couch sketching in her blanket and said quietly, "If I wasn't adopted, do you think they'd like me more?" It hit harder than anything they'd ever said. I sat beside her. "Sweetheart," I said, "they might pretend better. But people who act that way, it was never about you." She nodded. Then, after a pause, she said, "I don't think I want them to like me anymore." That was the moment I stopped waiting for an apology that was never coming. A few days later, my dad called again. I didn't pick up. Then came the text. "Your mother isn't sleeping. We know we messed up, but this isn't you. You're not the kind of person who shuts people out." For a moment, I almost believed him. Then I realized, maybe this was me now. Someone who finally knew what she would and wouldn't tolerate. Someone who understood that keeping peace at the expense of your child's dignity isn't love. It's fear dressed up as tradition. The final blow came from Tessa. A voice message, her tone dripping with false calm. "I just think it's sad, Claire. You've turned Maya into a shield. Anytime someone doesn't treat her like royalty, you cut them off. That's not healthy. It's obsession. I deleted it halfway through. Because if protecting my daughter, the girl who'd been unwanted once, makes me obsessive, then so be it." New Year's came quietly. Maya fell asleep on the couch before midnight, half a cookie still in her hand. Ethan and I toasted with tea instead of champagne, watching the fireworks on mute. He asked, "Do you miss them?" I thought about it. "I miss the idea of them," I said. "But that version never really existed." He nodded, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel guilty for saying it. A few weeks later, the doorbell rang. It was a cold Thursday afternoon. I wasn't expecting anyone. Maya was upstairs working on her college portfolio. Ethan was late at work. When I opened the door, my parents were standing there. Mom held a container of oatmeal cookies, her old specialty, the kind she made when I was little. "Claire," she said softly, "we thought we'd stop by." I stared at the cookies like they might explode. Dad cleared his throat. "Can we come in?" "Just for a minute?" "No," I said. They both froze. Mom tried again, smiling tightly. "We just want to talk. Things got heated, but we're still your family." She offered the cookies like they were a peace treaty. I didn't take them. Her smile cracked. "You don't have to be like this," she said. "We know it's hard raising a teenager," Dad added. "But pushing everyone away, you're going to regret it. You'll lose your real family over a girl who'll leave soon anyway." My stomach turned. Mom's voice softened. "She's 17, Claire. She'll go off to college soon. And then what? You'll be alone?" And then she said the words that stripped away every illusion of love she'd ever faked. "She's not blood, Claire. She's not really one of us." She said it gently, like she thought I'd agree. I didn't. I took a breath, stepped forward, and said, "You need to leave." Now, Dad looked startled. "Claire." "No," I said louder. "You don't get to come here with cookies and pretend it's kindness. You don't get to insult my daughter and act like that's love." Mom's eyes filled with tears. "You'll regret this. When she leaves you, when she forgets about you, you'll come back." I said nothing. I just closed the door, locked it, and leaned against it until I couldn't hear their voices anymore. I told Maya the next day. I didn't want to, but I've never lied to her. She listened quietly as I told her what they said. About blood, about family, about regret. Her hands were clenched in her lap, her shoulders tight. "They really think I'll leave you?" she asked. "No," I said. "They hope you will. That way, I'll need them again." She paused. "They don't get to hope things about me," she said. And she was right. A week later, my cousin Sarah forwarded me an email Rachel had sent to the entire extended family. It was long, manipulative, dripping with fake concern. She claimed Maya had isolated me from everyone, that she was ungrateful, difficult, controlling. She said I was obsessed with protecting her from imaginary offenses. It worked. Relatives started texting. "Aunt Linda, are you okay?" Uncle John called Ethan asking if I was having a breakdown. A distant cousin commented on Maya's art post. "You're lucky, don't forget who gave you a home." Maya saw it. I saw her see it. That was the last straw. I didn't write a reply to. I wrote a record, screenshots, messages, photos, every ignored invitation, every subtle insult, every proof of what they'd done. Then I wrote a letter, calm, factual, final. Subject line, "For those who want the full story." I sent it once. No follow-up, no emotion, just truth. Some believed me, some didn't. It didn't matter. Because I didn't do it for them. I did it for Maya. So she'd never question what really happened. So she'd never again ask, "Would they like me if I were blood?" Mine. After that, I blocked everyone who tried to reason, minimize, or guilt-trip me. We never heard from them again. Not directly, anyway. I'm sure they still talk about us. I'm sure I'm the story they tell when someone mentions estranged daughters. Let them talk. They lost their right to know us. Fast forward. Maya's in college now, top of her art program. She calls me every night, sometimes just to say goodnight, sometimes to show me a new sketch. When I dropped her off at her dorm, she hugged me for a full minute and whispered, "I'm not going anywhere." She meant it. People say you can't choose your family. I did. I chose her, over blood, over guilt, over silence, and if they're still waiting for me to come crawling back, let them wait. Because when I promised Maya she'd never feel unwanted again, I meant it.